Hey there, it's me, Bill Patton. If you're watching this as a replay, I am actually live right now, and I'm going live on Facebook as well as YouTube and also on LinkedIn. So today I want to talk about the importance of strategy and how it's a really key point for player retention. So, we had this huge influx of players because of COVID, and now we want to keep them. The problem is they don't necessarily learn how to play really smart. And some of the conventional wisdom that's being shared about strategy is harmful to them. So you hear things like, be more consistent. And what does that mean? What does it mean to be more consistent? Right? Think for a second. How do you describe what does that mean to someone? But I'll tell you what happens. People misinterpret that all the time. I have people come to me and they say, I want to be more consistent. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Does it mean every time you miss, you're going to get mad? And really, that's what happens. And I dare you this, ask someone if they were happy with their consistency, because I have never once in my life ever heard someone say that they were happy with their consistency. But I have heard them beat themselves up over feeling like they need to be more consistent. So let's take a better approach, one that's not signing them up for misery and takes them forward into playing like themselves. I mean, really, what you want to do is you want to have the proper risk reward ratio. So I'm going to be starting, I've already started writing an ebook a month. And the first ebook that I'm writing is going to be Tennis Strategy 101. And it's going to be aimed at the beginning to up to maybe 3-5 player. I think some 3-5s will even be helped by this book when they realize, okay, there's some subtle differences to the way they've been approaching strategy. And then my next book is going to be Tennis Strategy 201, and that will be gamed mostly at 3-0 to 4-0. And then the next book will be Tennis Strategy 301, and that'll be 4-0 plus, because if you're a 4-0 wanting to become a 4-5, then you have to start using 4-5 strategies and onward. And then it gets a lot more. Actually, the funny thing is, strategy becomes a little simpler as you go up the levels. It goes through a little phase of becoming more complicated. But then as you master these things, then the changes are very subtle as you learn your game and all that. All right, so where to begin? So the first thing that you need to know about winning a match is that you need to lose fewer points. So because, here's a question I ask people, and I want you to think about this for a second. What percentage of points end on an error? And I'm not going to argue too hard with anybody about the difference between a forced error and an unforced error. All right, so forced errors and unforced errors combined, what percentage of points are finishing with an error? All right, so write down your answer. And it's approximately 67%. All right, so 2/3 of all points will end because somebody missed their shot. All right, so then less than 1/3 will end because somebody hit a winner. And at different levels, I mean, that number of winners is going to be even more diminished. So this is all on average. This is all matches taken together. So higher skilled level players could have a match where 40% of the points are won with errors in a great match. And then, a lot of matches will have very few winners, or they'll just be accidental winners. You know, the ball bounced twice, so it's a winner, even though it was a mishit and it just barely dropped over the net. So you know, you have to take all these things into consideration. So now let's break it down a little further. Where do most errors go? So, do most errors go long? Do they go wide? Or do they go in the net? And the answer is the net. 70% of all errors go in the net. So you have 67% times 70 is coming out to about, well, maybe we should get the calculator out. Let's do that. So let's see. Give me a moment here. This is fun. No script today. I'm not scripted. So we're going to go 0.67 times 0.7 equals. So approximately 47% of points will end with the ball in the net. It's mind-boggling. All right. So now you want to win a tennis match? Keep the ball out of the net. All right. So then how does that affect our training, right? So people, you know, talk about strokes ad nauseum, right? So, you know, I see so much stroke analysis, but wow, wouldn't it be great if you just had the most perfect looking forehand and it was really efficient and you could hit the ball hard with spin in the net, right? It could look like Nadal or Federer, right? Or some other great mythical forehand, Del Potro, right? Wouldn't it be great if your stroke looked like that and it actually went fast and all that? You could hit it 90 miles an hour with 3,000 RPMs of spin in the net. No, right? So it doesn't really matter what kind of technique you have if your ball's in the net. So really what we need to do is we need to start by teaching our players to have good net clearance. You know, and there's a great graphic. You know, when I edit this, I'll probably put this in the YouTube video later. But there's an awesome graphic where, and it's from like 2013. I haven't seen it updated lately, but it shows Nadal's ball, and it's going, you know, on average 106 inches off the ground or something like that. And then you know, Federer and Djokovic ball is going, you know, approximately 6 feet off the ground, 3 feet over the net, right? And then another player hits a little flatter and their ball goes a little bit lower to the net, but it's still 2.5 feet over the net. Because one thing you have to consider is that when people watch tennis, they're watching it on a two-dimensional screen for the most part. Very few people actually go to see live tennis. So because they don't go to see live tennis, they don't see how high the ball goes over the net. And on a two-dimensional screen, it looks like it's this little net wizard, you know, and people are they love their little ball that goes 6 inches over the net because it's thrilling, it's exciting, it didn't go in the net, and it's faster because the trajectory is flatter. So those are impressive to people. But really what we need to do is we need to teach them to first, number one, job one, up and over. Get that ball up and over. I tell them, let the other kids be the one who hits the ball in the net. And then they have to pick it up. They have to do the walk of shame. So up and over is job one. And so then when you're working with strokes, that's the first thing. How do you get that ball to go up, right? I mean, I think it was Vic Braden who said it's a lifting game. We lift the ball up and over. There's another interesting thing that I ask people. What percentage of tennis shots are hit upward? You know, and I let them guess. and the numbers are always too low when they first start guessing. So write down your answer. What percentage of tennis shots are hit upward? And then before I give the answer, I show them a volley, and I'll show them me hitting a volley and how the ball, you know, because it went downward quickly and because it was penetrating in the court, it looked like a downward shot. But then I show them, I was like, look at the initial trajectory of the ball out of my racket. It's actually struck upward. And this is something that people aren't teaching a lot, that almost every ball is hit upward. Vic Braden shared that when you hit an overhead from the service line and your racket face is declined by 8 degrees, 8 degrees backwards, that you will hit the baseline with your overhead. So that's kind of amazing. And, there are those rare instances where you do hit the ball downward. And what is that? That's the shot where you're, a couple feet, you might be 10 feet from the net, and the ball is bounced right in front of you, and you go, bam, right? I mean, there could be some high volleys where you go, down through the court. How often does that happen? That's maybe 1 in 100 shots. Or less. Could be less. So, more if you're playing doubles, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, the exact number is not important, but the fact that 99% of balls are hit upward is very important. So we've got to get the ball up and over the net. Now, what does that mean? It means that you have to have some level of acceptance that the ball might go out long or wide. And that's the risk you take. So you have to risk that in order to avoid hitting the net. And then what happens? Then you're out there and I'm going to check my Facebook really quick. All right. So dun, 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 dun. All right, so there's some good posts happening in the high school tennis coaches only group. So if you are a high school tennis coach or a middle school coach, get in the high school tennis coaches group and answer the questions, and I'll let you right in there. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're building up the high school game. So then the next thing that happens is you have to realize, all right, I'm hitting the ball out long. Okay, that's preferable. And then what you do is you get the range and you just start saying to yourself, okay, that one was out by 10 feet, so I have to hit it a little shorter. Next one, 5 feet. All right, I've got to go about 7 more feet shorter. And now you got the ball 2 feet in. What a difference that makes. You get good depth on your shots, and now you're not going to lose very easily. The deeper you hit it, the more likely that your opponent's going to hit in the net. That likelihood goes up, right? So part of what happens when you get the ball up and over the net is you start to win the field position battle of tennis, because you keep that other player pushed back, then they have less time and you have more time. They have more risk of hitting into the net. You have less risk of hitting into the net. So if we just start there and we just say, all right, I'm wrapping this one up. All right. People aren't being taught this particular thing. And so what do? They obsess about never missing. But what does that look like? And so they obsess if they hit a ball in the net, they're mad. If they hit a ball wide, they're mad. If they hit a ball long, they're mad. And I try to teach them, don't get mad about deep shots. You have to learn to not be mad about that. Okay, yeah, you can be mad about balls in the net because, depending on how long I've been working with someone, then I'll say, look, balls in the net are unacceptable. But I don't say that in the first lesson. We work on it for a little bit. They start to get their confidence up, and then we talk about, hey, I don't ever want to see you hit the ball in the net. And, you know, there are, coaches out there that will have their players do push-ups, if they hit a ball in the net. And I don't know. I don't want to argue about, punishment with exercise or whatever, but it all kind of depends on how you work that. It's mostly about your attitude. But people go and they're thinking too much about consistency. They're not thinking about what is the effect of my shot, and they're not thinking about how are points actually won or lost. And the first thing to do is to eliminate points lost, because when you eliminate a point lost, then you've got a chance to win it. So learning to prolong the point and getting through those first two shots. Now, so keep in mind, you want to avoid hitting in the net. That's the first part of it. And then I think what we're going to do in the next one. Oh, and then, yeah, remember, just to recap, balls have to be struck upwards. So when you're teaching technique, then teach that from the outset. So, don't celebrate a good technical shot if the ball went in the net. Necessarily. I mean, sometimes I say, yes, I like how you produced that shot, but you've got to aim much higher. So, you have to qualify these things so that people can really understand how to play well. So, in conclusion, right, go take your new players and give them the absolute basics, because if you teach them advanced things but they're failing on the fundamental things, then they're still going to lose and they're going to blame you. I don't want to be blamed, right? So if I see them hitting in the net, I'm like, well, the reason why you lost that match is because you hit too many balls in the net. And then, so in the next video, though, we're going to talk about the 0 to 4 data, because many people really misunderstand the 0 to 4 data. So we're going to talk about, does it mean first strike tennis? We're going to talk about what is first strike tennis. We're going to talk about how to play fundamentally smart in the 0 to 4, because you can't get around the fact that 55 to 70% of all points end before the fifth shot is made. That is a finite truth, right? In fact, SwingVision cooked all their data from the entire 2021 that was input into their data, and they discovered that 67% of all points ended in under 5 shots, 0 to 4 shots. So it stands to reason that if points are short, how can you learn not to lose them, but then also to increase your ability to win them by playing smart? So anyway, thanks for watching, and make a comment. Please subscribe. If you like what I'm doing here, consider buying me a cup of coffee or a beer, right? So, but you don't have to. I love doing this, and you'll see in the description place where you can find my books. So if you like my books, they're on Amazon. Go put Bill Patton in the book thing, and then you can click on my name and it'll take you to all of them. And coming out soon will be the complete guide to coaching team tennis with David Smith and myself. So I'm waiting on a new piece of equipment, and once I get that, then I'm going to resume editing, and that will be uploaded shortly. So if you want to get in on the launch of that, that'll be amazing. So David and I spent hours and hours filming everything. And then here's the funny thing, some people might scoff at the complete guide, right? But here's the funny thing. So somebody asked a question about something that we hadn't done. So what did we do? We made a video like that. So we do take requests, and we promise that it's going to be a complete guide, and we're going to fulfill that. And if somebody asks a question that we haven't answered, then we're going to answer it. And then also we want to open that up to other high school coaches that want to get involved and help out with that. So Larry Sims came out and was on with us talking about coaching philosophy. So that will become part of it as well. All right. Thank you. And I appreciate you watching. So thanks for watching. And I hope that you got something out of it. Feel free, please like, subscribe, share. Your social digital currency makes a difference. So if you love tennis, then go out and all the people whose stuff you like it, share it, subscribe to it, because you're going to make tennis more influential if you do that. So don't just do it for me, do it for everybody. This morning, I just followed Simon Wheatley. So I'm excited to hear, all the things he has to say. All right. Thanks, and hope to see you soon.